I'm very happy to be joined here today by Global News' meteorologist, Peter Quinlan. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Abby.
Now, this isn't the greatest bit of news. It's
Mm-mm.
not going to be the best conversation, but it's definitely needed. Recently,
Yes.
both BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan are all under an extreme cold warning.
hmm
And the temperatures are not getting warmer for the next few days. Can you tell me a little bit about why we're so cold right now? Because we talked a little bit earlier on, we went from -5, -6 to then immediately switching to -30. So what happened
hmm
with that extreme change that we had?
Yeah, so that was quite the shift, and it took place around the 6th to the 7th. We went from seeing minus single digit highs down into the Arctic air. And the part of the reason was we had this pool of Arctic air that usually sits over the North Pole that we call the polar vortex that slid over from Siberia toward northern and even central Canada. And that brought with it the Arctic conditions, the frigid air. And we've been seeing those minus 20 temperatures, minus 30 wind chills ever since the 7th. And now those wind chills are even pushing into the minus 50. So this is quite the blast, and it's been lingering, and it's going to linger right into next week.
Yes, that was going to be my next question. How long can we suspect that this cold warning is going to last, or how long do you think it's going to be in effect for people to, kind of prepare themselves a little bit for
hmm
the days to come and with their vehicles and all that?
Yeah, this is going to be quite the prolonged streak of cold. It looks like we're going to be seeing probably rock bottom Friday night into Saturday morning when we could see overnight lows around minus 44 to minus 45, wind chills around minus 55 to minus 58. So exposed skin, yeah, can freeze in just a few minutes out there, Abby. It's not going to be very nice. We will see a bit of moderation. Overnight lows will go to the minus 30s Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Daytime highs will still be in the minus 30s, probably until later on Monday when we get to the minus 20s. Then next week, I think we'll maybe get a bit of a break through the middle to end of the week. We may see a bit of a bump up in temperatures. Overnight lows might not be quite as cool. And then next weekend is when we could be in for quite the treat. We might even be in the minus teens.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I thought when you said we're in for something, I thought it was gonna be obviously we were gonna go right back. So that's fantastic. And I did
hmm
looking on to like the next week and so on temperatures
hmm
that I can see on my board, it does seem like we're gonna get back into like the mid-teens, which is really nice.
hmm
Now this year has been very weird for the
Yes.
winter. So it's kind of hard to go off of what we have now, but usually in past years, we get like the first really freezing strip for a week in January, but then
hmm
it occurs again in February. Do you suspect that this is going to be the same thing this year, or maybe even a prolonged period of time where we have that really extreme cold, or is this kind of the worst it's going to get?
It's a little too soon to say for sure, but we do start to get into longer days in February. So the averages gradually start to creep back up. I would be surprised if we see another cold snap this cold in February. We might see some colder days that might be in the minus 40s with wind chill, but maybe not into the minus 50s as frequently as we're seeing, for instance, this week. But we will likely see some extreme cold days. The overall trend for the winter season, which is December, January, February, will still probably end up trending above average because December was the warmest on record for Lloydminster, and that'll just push the average up. And I think February will probably end up eventually trending back up toward above average temperatures, but it's still a ways away. Things can change between now and then.
And finally, do you have any recommendations for people, whether they're traveling? I know I mentioned earlier, my car did not breathe life into itself this morning.
Mhm.
So, and you did mention that, this extreme cold can affect your skin as soon as you walk outside. So, do you have any, I guess, recommendations for people if they do absolutely have to go outside this weekend?
Yeah, I would say make sure you don't have any exposed skin. So wear whatever you got to do that. I sometimes wear two sets of socks, two mitts, so toques, and also something over your face is one of the areas that often gets frostbitten. So a scarf, a balaclava, one one of those neck warmers. You can pull up a little bit higher because a lot of it is the wind chill that hits your face when you're walking into the wind that can freeze your skin quite quickly. And frostbite is a real concern. Sometimes frostbite leads to nerve damage and the need for amputation. So it's not something you want to mess with. And if you do find yourself getting too cold in, say, the areas around your eyes that you can't completely cover up, but you could actually wear ski goggles to cover that up, you need to seek medical help as soon as you can.
Awesome. Well, despite this not being the greatest topic to talk about, it was very important. So thank you so much for joining me today, Peter. And we definitely will talk again as we get further into the month and into February to see hopefully things do warm up a little bit. So thank
Yes.
you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Abby.